Imagine if getting rich wasn't, just about luck or even grinding away with hard work, but an exact science, like as predictable as math.
Yeah.
That's the really bold claim from Wallace D. Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. It's this fascinating book written over 100 years ago. Today, we're doing a deep dive into its core ideas.
It's true. And what's really striking about it, I think, is that it's not presented as some abstract philosophy. He calls it a practical manual.
A manual, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wattles basically asks you, the reader, to take his core ideas on faith, a bit like you'd accept a scientific law, maybe. And then you prove it's true by acting on it. It's quite the promise he makes. Failure is impossible if you follow his system.
It really is audacious. So our goal here for this deep dive is to unpack the main principles of Wattles' certain way. We want to help you understand this, well, pretty unique perspective on creating wealth. And honestly, you might be surprised how modern some of his insights feel, even though it's from 1910. So, okay, let's dig into the foundation. Wattles kicks things off with a statement that might ruffle some feathers. He says, "It is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich." What did he actually mean by rich there? I'm guessing it's not purely about hoarding cash.
That's exactly the right question. No,
Yeah.
he's not talking figuratively, and he's definitely not saying just be happy with a little. For Wattles, being truly rich means having everything that helps you grow. Power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. It's about fully developing your mind, your soul, and your body. He even goes so far as suggesting that settling for less is, well, sinful.
Sinful, wow.
Yeah, because he sees it as going against nature's inherent push for advancement, for more life, for unfoldment. To really use your talents or develop your soul, he argues, you need things that, frankly, money helps provide.
That's quite a reframe. So the desire for riches isn't greedy in his view.
Not at all. He calls it praiseworthy. He sees it as the desire for a fuller, more abundant life. He breaks life down into these three motives, a body, mind, and soul. And he says none can really live fully if the others are cut short.
Right, think about it. Good food, a comfortable place to live, books, travel, art, interesting people to talk to, even love. He controversially says poverty denies the expression of love.
Hmm.
So he wraps it up by saying that understanding how to get rich is the noblest and most necessary of all studies.
And if you follow that logic, if this desire for a full life is so basic, so fundamental, then there must be a precise way to achieve it, like a law of nature. This leads straight to his big declaration. There is a science of getting rich, and it is an exact science, like algebra or arithmetic.
Yeah.
He's adamant that anyone who learns and follows these laws will get rich, with mathematical certainty.
Okay, this is where he really starts pushing back against common ideas. Wattles just dismantles typical beliefs about why people are rich or poor. It's not your environment, he says. I mean, you see rich folks and poor folks living practically next door, sometimes doing the same jobs.
Right. And it's not just raw talent either. We all know incredibly talented people who struggle financially, while others, maybe with less obvious gifts, become wealthy.
And it's not about being super thrifty or saving every penny. He points out lots of frugal people stay poor, while some big spenders seem to attract wealth.
Uh-huh. And it's not even about doing things other people simply fail at.
So what is the common factor then?
He insists it comes down to one thing, doing things in a certain way. In his argument, it's pretty straightforward, like causes produce like effects, always. So if you learn this certain way and you actually apply it, you can get rich reliably. It doesn't matter where you start, if you have capital or not, what business you're in now.
Even if you feel like you're in the wrong town or job.
Exactly. Even the wrong location, as he puts it. He basically says, look, if anyone else in your town got rich, then so can you. He even says if you're drowning in debt, no connections, no resources, if you just start doing things this specific way, you must infallibly begin to get rich.
Okay. So if it's all about this certain way, what is it? Waddle says step one is grasping the first principle. And it sounds like a big one.
It's the absolute bedrock, the foundation of his whole system. It's this idea everything you see on Earth is made from one original substance, out of which all things proceed.
One substance.
One substance. He calls it formless stuff or original substance. And crucially, he says this stuff isn't dead or inert. It's intelligent. It thinks. It's alive with creative energy. And its fundamental impulse is always towards more life. There's no shortage of it.
Okay, now this next part is, well, it's pretty out there, he says. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. He explains that this thinking substance literally takes the form of its thoughts. So if it thinks about an oak tree, it starts the process of creating one. And for us, for you listening, the key is this. Man is a thinking center and can originate thought. Therefore, we can actually cause the creation or formation of the thing he thinks about just by impressing our thoughts onto this formless substance. He claims any thought of form, once impressed, has to cause creation.
Right, and to really hammer this home, Wattles lays out 3 core propositions. He calls them creed statements. And he says you have to accept them completely, without any doubt. First, there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe.
Okay.
Second, a thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought.
Produces the thing.
Yes. And third, man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. And his instruction here is critical. Lay aside all other concepts and dwell upon this until it is fixed in your mind. If a doubt comes to you, cast it aside as a sin.
Cast doubt aside as a sin. That's strong language.
It shows how fundamental he believes this is.
So this naturally leads to what he terms thinking in a certain way, which means what exactly? Thinking truth.
Thinking truth, yes. Regardless of what appearances might suggest, he actually admits this is incredibly hard. The hardest work in the world, he calls it. Trying to think health when you're surrounded by illness, or thinking riches when you're seeing poverty everywhere.
Yeah, I can see that being tough.
He warns that if you dwell on the appearance of poverty, your own mind will take on those forms, unless you deliberately, forcefully hold on to the truth of abundance. But he says the person who masters this becomes a mastermind. They can conquer fate. He can have what he wants.
A mastermind.
And this power, he claims, comes directly from fully accepting that there's one thinking substance and that your thoughts genuinely can impress upon it. And this whole framework, it completely changes how you look at opportunity.
How so?
Wattles is emphatic. No man is kept poor because opportunity has been taken away from him. He uses examples from his time, like the rise of electric railways or early aviation, contrasting them with the established steam railways that seem to have everything locked down.
Right. Things always change. New opportunities arise.
Exactly. He even suggests a factory worker could just decide to buy a farm and become a food producer. The point is, there is abundance of opportunity for the man who will go with the tide.
Yeah.
Because while the visible supply might seem limited sometimes,
the invisible supply of the formless stuff is inexhaustible.
Precisely. It's truly inexhaustible.
Okay, this next bit feels like a really radical shift from how most people think about economics or business. Wattles argues that if the universe is all about increase of life, more life to all, then competition actually goes against that natural flow. He puts it bluntly. You must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. He really warns against looking at the visible supply and thinking it's limited or that others have cornered the market.
That's a huge mental shift. So if you're creating, does that mean you might inadvertently take from someone else? Is it a zero-sum game?
Good question.
Wattles is very, very clear on this. He says, intelligent substance will make things for you, but it will not take things away from someone else and give them to you. In fact, he argues the opposite. You're becoming rich through this creative method should mean that every other man will have more than he has now.
More for everyone.
Yes. He even talks about the big industrialists of his day, like Rockefeller and Carnegie. He calls them unconscious agents, who, used competitive methods, but ultimately organized industry in a way that paved the ground for future increased life. But he also says their day is nearly over because that competitive way isn't sustainable. He sees it as a godless scramble for power over other men. Riches won that way, he feels, are never really satisfying or permanent.
So if the focus has to be on creating, not competing, how does that actually play out in like day-to-day business or interactions?
Well, Wattles emphasizes that you should always aim to give to every man more than you take from him. Now, that doesn't have to be in literal cash value.
Okay, so use value.
Exactly, use value. He gives this really vivid example. Selling a gun to an Eskimo. That's huge use value for them, helping them get more furs, more food. That's a positive exchange. Compare that to selling them, say, a fancy painting, which has no practical use in their environment. That wouldn't be giving more use value. He's very direct. Never try to beat anyone in a business deal. And if your current business requires you to do that, he says get out of it immediately. And if you have employees, structure things so your business is like a ladder for them. It should help them advance, too. Your business should do for them what his book aims to do for you.
That's quite a standard. Okay, so after impressing your thoughts, what's next? He talks about something being primary and vital for connecting with this creative power.
Yes, absolute crucial. Gratitude.
Gratitude.
He states it very plainly. Many people who order their lives rightly in all other ways are kept in poverty by their lack of gratitude. He says gratitude is what keeps you connected to the source, to power. It stops you from falling into that fatal error of thinking the supply is limited. He believes thinking limitation is completely fatal to your hopes.
So gratitude isn't just being polite, it's like a functional necessity.
Precisely. He calls it the law of gratitude, describing it as an action and reaction thing. Your thankful praise, your genuine gratitude creates an immediate movement of good towards you. It's also a powerful form of mental discipline. To fix your attention on the best is to surround yourself with the best and to become the best.
Focusing on the good brings more good.
Right. And faith, he argues, is born of gratitude. It leads to the living faith you need for this creative method to work. Without gratitude, he insists, you can't escape dissatisfaction, and your mind just keeps forming images of lesser things. He even, remarkably, suggests being grateful for the plutocrats of his time.
Grateful for plutocrats, why?
Because, in his somewhat controversial view, their massive organization of industry actually made your opportunity possible in the modern world. It created systems you can now leverage creatively.
Interesting perspective. Okay, so we have the formless substance, the power of thought, the need to avoid competition, and the vital role of gratitude. How do we focus the thought part?
Ah, yes. Wattles is very specific here. You must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. No vague wishes.
Clear and definite.
Yes. He uses the analogy of a sailor who always keeps the destination port fixed in their mind. Or he mentions a student he knew who started by vividly picturing just a rug and a stove.
And then a whole house.
And eventually, step by step, created and owned that house. So this clear vision, combined with invincible and unwavering faith that the thing is already yours, that's absolutely paramount.
Faith that it's already yours.
Already yours. On the way, he advises you to live in the new house, mentally, until it takes form around you physically. He also says you don't need, special concentration exercise if you truly desire something. The desire itself will hold the thought for you.
What about willpower, then? Do you use willpower to make this happen?
That's a really important point he addresses. Wattles specifically cautions against using your willpower on other people. Don't try to influence or coerce them. And don't try to coerce God or the substance. He insists the formless substance is friendly. It's more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it.
So where do you use willpower?
To get rich, he says, you need only to use your willpower upon yourself.
On yourself? How?
To make yourself think the right thoughts and do the right things. To keep your mind firmly fixed on your vision, despite appearances or doubts. He warns that any doubt or unbelief literally creates a force moving away from you.
Wow. Okay, this next piece of advice feels particularly challenging. He says, if you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty.
Yes. That often stops people in their tracks.
He argues that charity, while well-intentioned, often just perpetuates the wretchedness it aims to eradicate.
Right. His advice is counterintuitive. Get rich. That is the best way you can help the poor.
Get rich to help the poor.
His logic is that poverty isn't solved by studying it or pitying it, but by getting pictures of wealth into the minds of the poor, inspiring them to use this creative method, not keeping them dependent. He truly believes you must use your willpower to keep your mind off poverty and locked onto your own creative vision.
So it's all about the mental picture, the faith, the gratitude. Is that enough? Or is there more?
No. Thought is the power that creates, definitely. But Wattles is very explicit. You must not rely upon thought alone, paying no attention to personal action.
Action is still required.
Absolutely. He clarifies, your thought sets things in motion, causes things to be pushed towards you, but you must so arrange your own business affairs that you may be able to receive it when it comes to you. Gold isn't going to mine itself and jump into your pocket, right?
Yeah, right.
It's not your job to supervise the creative process, he says. That's the substance's job. Your job is to hold the vision, maintain the purpose, the faith, the gratitude. But the core principle is crystal clear. By thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it.
Thought brings it, action receives it. I like that. Okay, so what kind of action? Where do you act?
Wattles is very insistent here. Your action must most likely be in your present business or employment and must be upon the persons and things in your present environment.
So don't wait for the perfect opportunity or a different job to fall into your lap.
Exactly. Don't wait for a change of environment to magically appear. Get a change of environment by action. Start where you are with what you have right now. His advice is practical. Do every day all that can be done that day. Don't put things off. Do everything you can do
Oh,
today.
well, that can be done.
And crucially, do each act in an efficient manner. Put your whole power into each action, no matter how small. Infuse it with your faith and purpose. That, he claims, is what makes any single act a success. And if every single day is filled with successful actions, well, you can't fail to get rich.
That connects the inner work with very grounded daily effort. The book then goes on to talk about applying this in careers and relationships.
Yes, it does. He touches on getting into the right business. While he acknowledges it's usually easier if you're using your strongest talents, he makes a really interesting statement. He says, "You will get rich most satisfactorily if you do that which you want to do."
Doing what you want to do.
Yeah, he believes the desire to do it is proof that you have within you the power which can do it. The desire itself is evidence of the potential.
That's empowering.
Isn't it? And no matter what your job or business is, he stresses this core practice. Always convey the impression of increase to everyone you interact with.
The impression of increase, what does that mean?
It means embodying and projecting growth, advancement, abundance. People are naturally drawn to sources of increase.
Yeah.
All humans seek it. By radiating that sense of forward movement and more life, you become a creative center, and people, customers, employers, colleagues will be attracted to you.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned earlier he warned against the scramble for power. Does he come back to that?
Oh, very strongly. This feels particularly relevant today. He gives a stark warning. Beware of the insidious temptation to seek for power over other men.
Insidious temptation.
He identifies this as the core of the competitive mindset, calling it the curse of the world. He contrasts it directly with the brotherly seeking for the common good. He even quotes a contemporary figure, Golden Rule Jones, who famously said, "What I want for myself, I want for everybody." Seeking power over others, Wattles says, turns getting rich back into a game of chance, not a science.
And this applies across the board, not just in business.
Absolutely. He talks about the advancing man or woman, we'd say now, in any profession. Doctors, teachers, wage earners. The advancing man is someone who applies this science, becomes successful, and by their very success in the way they operate, they inspire others.
What about someone just earning a wage? How do they apply this?
His advice is pretty direct. Do not try to more than fill your present place with a view to pleasing your employer. Do it with the idea of advancing yourself. Focus on your own growth through your current work. He claims that even if opportunity isn't obvious right now, if you work in this certain way, opportunities will speedily come, for the Supreme will bring them before you. He strongly believes no one has to be stuck in hopeless conditions unless they're ignorant of this science or, as he puts it, too slothful to actually practice it.
So, wrapping this up for you, the listener, putting these ideas into action requires real commitment. Wattles gives some final, pretty strong advice, doesn't he?
He does. He anticipates skepticism. He knows people will say, "Oh, but the government," or "the system keeps people down." But he insists that individuals can get rich under any government. And his theory is, if enough individuals do it using the creative method, they will cause the system to be so modified. Change starts with the individual applying the science.
And his specific cautions.
Key ones are, guard your speech. Never talk discouragement. Never admit failure is possible. Never complain that times are hard. Your words reinforce your mental state. Also, never allow yourself to feel disappointed if things seem to fail temporarily. He promises that if you hold the faith, it just means a larger thing that you were seeking will certainly come to you. Trust the process.
And his advice about studying.
Yes, this is probably the most controversial bit for modern readers. He strongly advises you to study this book, his book, and only this book until you achieve your goal.
Only his book.
Yes, he warns against mixing philosophies or getting distracted by occult studies. He says, focus your free time entirely on contemplating your vision, cultivating gratitude, and rereading his book to keep the principles sharp.
So the core message seems to be the immense power of focused thought, combined with specific, efficient action, all aligned with a belief in an abundant universe and fueled by gratitude.
That sums it up beautifully. And if Wattles is right, even partially right, then maybe the biggest changes we seek don't start out there with systems, but right here, inside us. It's about that disciplined cultivation of our inner world, thinking, feeling, and acting in that certain way, always connected to that formless substance through gratitude. Which really leaves a thought to ponder, doesn't it, for you listening? What one small but efficient action could you take today? An action infused with your clear vision and real gratitude to start moving towards your own advancing life.
That's a great question to end on. We hope this deep dive encourages you to reflect on your own ideas about abundance and scarcity, and maybe how these century-old concepts from Wallace D. Wattles challenge or perhaps even confirm what you believe about creating the life you want.